Hello my friends, welcome to another episode of Magnum Videos, and today we're going to talk about something very personal. So stick around, I'll be back in 11.7 seconds. I have been watching a lot of videos lately on YouTube success. And one of the things that I have learned is that viewers want to know something about the person doing the video. So I thought I would devote a little bit of time. We're going to go back in history, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my history and where I came from. So let us begin. My earliest memories of a home was the apartment that we lived in at 3018 Brooklyn in Kansas City, Missouri. I was an only child. I lived there with my mother and father, and my only child status only lasted 4 years until my younger sister was born, and then another 2 years after that, the second one came along. And anyway, that's a totally different story for another video. But the house at 3018 Brooklyn, I was going to show you a picture of it. Unfortunately, it's no longer there. But I do have a shot of the lot where the house was located. And I wanted to show you that. We'll do that in just a minute. But before we do that, I wanted to tell you about my school. I went to kindergarten and first grade at a school called Linwood School. It was located on Linwood Boulevard between Woodland and Highland. It's no longer there, but I did spend quite a bit of time in that school. Until I started skipping school at the age of 6. But that's another story for the next video. Anyway, let's take a look at the lot, and I will show you the route I took to get to Linwood School every morning, or at least the mornings that I decided not to skip school. All right, what you're looking at here is the vacant lot where 3018 Brooklyn apartment was located. The house set between, obviously, this house on the left and this house on the right. The 3018 property looked very similar to this one on the left. It was 2 stories. It had 4 units. There was 2 units below and 2 units above. We lived in this first floor unit on the left, or on the right. There was a porch on the front, and there were spirea bushes all around this porch and steps, which I hated. Anyway, that's where the building was. There was no driveway here at that time. There was just a sidewalk that went up from the main sidewalk up to the front steps, just like these other ones. And everyone parked their cars on the street. Our old blue Nash was parked out there. And that's where I grew up for the first, well, at least when I was 4, 5, and 6, I think. So that's all I wanted to show you there. And next, this is a shot of Linwood School. It is no longer there either. But that was the school that I went to in kindergarten and first grade. That's where old Mrs. McClooney wielded her wooden ruler and hurt a lot of children's knuckles with it. So anyway, that's the school, and I'll show you in a moment here how I got from our apartment to the school. All right, here's another shot of the 3018 address location. And we're going to go to an aerial view of this, and I'll show you the route that I took to get to school. The, the house was right here. This is Brooklyn. North is to the right, south is to the left. So I started out walking down the sidewalk with my little green lunchbox and went south on Brooklyn to 31st Street. At that point, or at that time, there were little shops all along the street here, and all along the street here there was a barbecue restaurant here. There was a liquor store over here. There were some shops along here, and there was a shop, a machine shop, where an old man named Mr. Barnes owned. And I say old man, he was probably, I don't know, between 45 and 50. Nice guy. I really liked him. And every morning on my way to school, as I walked down the little sidewalk here, I would stop in and go into his shop. And he had a lot of, milling machines, and he was a machinist. And I always had my nickel with me that my mother gave me, and Mr. Barnes always had a dime, and we would exchange those. He would give me his dime, I would give him my nickel, and we would go right next door to a little deli where I used my dime that was previously his to buy a dill pickle. And he would use the nickel that was previously mine to buy a donut. And we would go, we would eat our donuts, we'd go back to his shop, I would eat the pickle, he would eat his donut, and then we would say goodbye for the day, and I would head on my way back to my trip to school. So I would continue down 31st Street here. Now, in those days, this huge highway interchange was not here. At least if it was, I don't remember it. Because I would go right down this street here to, I think this was Linwood, Woodland. Yeah, I would go down to Woodland, I would make a left turn and continue south, and Linwood School was right here where this church is now. I don't remember my kindergarten teacher's name, but I do remember my first grade teacher's name, Miss McClooney. She was a piece of work. She would make Miss Trunchbull from Matilda look like Joan of Arc. This woman was mean. I mean, I think she just had a mean streak that went all the way into her bone marrow. If you talked in class, she would come to your desk with her wooden ruler with the metal edge along the top, tell you to put your hands on the desk, and she would come down with full force across your knuckles with that metal edge, and it hurt. She was mean, but back then teachers could be mean. There was nothing you could do about it. Anyway, my mother fixed my lunch every day because I don't think there was a cafeteria in the school. If there was, we probably couldn't have afforded for me to eat there anyway. But I had a metal lunchbox. It was just a green metal lunchbox. This was back in the early 50s, back before they started incorporating the cartoon characters on the kids' lunchboxes. So it was just green. She would fill my little thermos with cold milk every morning. I usually got a cheese sandwich, which was just 2 slices of bread, a slice of American cheese, a little bit of mayonnaise, and some lettuce. Also in there was usually an apple, or if I got lucky, it was a banana, or maybe some grapes. Usually a Hostess cupcake, or maybe some Oreo cookies, and maybe some Fritos or some potato chips. And back then we didn't have sandwich bags, so everything was wrapped in what was called waxed paper. Some of you may not remember that, but some of you may. Anyway, she would fix my lunch every day, and Mrs. McClooney decided that she wanted to tangle with my mother. And so she sent a note home with me. And of course, I didn't read it because it was sealed up. And my mother read it, and she got very upset. And she went in and had a talk with Mrs. McClooney. And I never had much trouble with her from that point on. My mother is a hot-tempered redhead from Tennessee. And people you just don't mess with my mother. Anyway, the note told my mother that she didn't think that she was fixing me a nutritious lunch, and that she apparently didn't care about my health and well-being. Well, my mother, I was a saint to my mother. I was her whole world. So when you say something like that to my mother, back away. Anyway, I think that's about all I wanted to go over in this video. I will tell you about the old man, the wood carver with tuberculosis, in the next video, and also the day I set fire to our car. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, click the little bell. You'll get a notification at 8 a.m. the following morning that I have uploaded a video, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope this has been enjoyable for you. I hope that it's helped you get to know a little bit more about me and feel a little bit more like you know me a little bit better. And that's the whole purpose. So I think that's it for now. Until I speak with you again, and even after that, you stay focused.